Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be able to take a call tonight, and I commend my friend and colleague Grant Robertson for his timing, his impeccable timing in respect of the introduction of this bill, because just today I received a letter from a constituent raising some very important questions about Royal Society. A gentleman who lives in France, as it happens, who is a strong believer that there should be a change in the way that there is succession to the throne in Britain. And indeed, he's written to members of the parliaments of Britain, the House of Lords indeed, and asked a question around whether there could be any move by the House of Lords in respect of a change of succession there. And obviously this bill relates to a change in a very long-standing limitation on the membership of the Royal Society. It's been limited to those from the science faculties and background, and obviously it's proposing a change, an important change, to allow those with the humanities background to become Fellows of the Royal Society. And I suppose there's a parallel here, and there's an important question being asked about whether there is a New Zealand connection here, because a Lord Alf Dubs from the House of Lords has been asking questions as recently as January of this year of the House of Lords as to whether there would be any consideration given to changing the rules of succession in Britain, which of course mean that only a male can ascend to the throne, that a Catholic cannot ascend to the throne. And the interesting thing that emerges from this, and it's a bit of a test perhaps for the press gallery as to whether they listen to Parliament at night, is that Lord Dubs tells us in correspondence and in questions to the House of Lords that discussions about this very issue of succession are proceeding under the chairmanship of the New Zealand government. The New Zealand government, according to Lord Alf Dubs of the House of Lords, on this issue of Royal Society, if you like, is suggesting that it is New Zealand which is taking the lead in respect of opening up the question for debate for succession in terms of whether Britain will continue to only have male heirs to the throne, an issue that might be of some consideration given recent events as recent as last Friday. And I'd be just interested, though, in the research that Mr. Robertson's about the Royal Society of New Zealand, whether this issue might have just popped up. I know it's a little peripheral to the Royal Society of New Zealand and the bill that he has introduced, but I know he's a very thorough member. I know he takes a great deal of time and care with his research. He's shown that just with his most recent contribution to the House, noting that he was really disappointed that he could not actually discover the exact date that the Royal Society of New Zealand was created on some day back in 1867. He was very, very disappointed that he was not able to give the House the specific date. So I just wondered, in the course of his research, had he come across anything which indicated involving the efforts of Lord Alf Dubs of the House of Lords, who's been promoting, had a bill in the House, I believe, some years ago, and is now asking questions in the Hansard of the House of Lords as recently as January this year, suggesting that New Zealand's government is providing the leadership as the Commonwealth nations consider whether there should be a change in the Act of Succession, which goes back some 300 years. And one of his supporters did note that, in fact, there does need to be change. This is why we're considering this bill today. It might have been appropriate back in 1867 on some unspecified date when the Royal Society came into being, that only those from a scientific background were able to join the Royal Society of New Zealand. We obviously need to make change because, as one of those taking part in the question session in the House of Lords back in January of this year noted, if there hadn't been change on things that were instituted some 300 years ago, we would still be jailing people for stealing bread. And we'd still be hanging people, and we'd have a whole range of other things, that jailing children, hanging people for stealing sheep. I'm sure the member for Kaikoura may make a contribution in that respect. But really, I'd just like to ask the member in the chair, the author of this bill, given his prodigious knowledge, his research, his contribution, whether he's, in the course of his research, seen anything which suggests that the Royal Society of New Zealand...
Alan Peachy. I move, Mr Chair.